This wasn't survival, it was self-assure. 8 years, 2,920 days of biting my tongue until I tasted copper, of nodding when I wanted to scream, of smiling when I should have been spitting curses at the alphas who thought silence made me harmless. They had no idea what I was. My name is Kang Minho, though most people in the Seoul Lotus Pack just call me the mute Omega from the archives. Poetic, right? I'm 26 now. I've been pretending I can't speak since I was 18. The night I discovered that my voice could do more than string together sentences. It could command alphas, not suggest, not persuade. Command. One word from me, spoken with intent, and an alpha's will became mine to shape. I'd accidentally forced my own brother to his knees during an argument, watched in horror as Jiho's eyes glazed silver and his body moved like a puppet on strings. The elders called it an abomination, a perversion of pack hierarchy. So I did what any sensible Omega would do when faced with forced rehabilitation in a remote mountain facility. I ran, vanished into Seoul's tangled streets, and reinvented myself as someone forgettable, someone harmless, someone mute. Turns out alphas don't want to claim an Omega who can't beg, can't moan their name, can't whisper sweet nothings during a heat. My silence became my shield. 8 years of working in dusty archives, of communicating through hand gestures and hastily scribbled notes, of watching life happen around me while I stayed frozen in self-imposed exile. I'd convinced myself I was safe. Then the three kings came to Seoul. I first saw them during the summer treaty signing at the Grand Hyatt. I wasn't supposed to be there. Archives staff weren't exactly on the guest list. But my boss, Mr. Choi, had forgotten the historical documents and sent me running across the city in 90-degree heat. The hotel lobby was chaos. Alphas in $1,000 suits. Omegas dripping in diamonds. The scent of expensive cologne mixing with territorial pheromones thick enough to choke on. I kept my head down, messenger bag clutched to my chest, weaving between bodies toward the conference hall. That's when I felt it. Not scent, not sight. Something deeper, primal. Three distinct pulls like fishing hooks buried in my sternum, all yanking in different directions. My Omega hindbrain, the part I'd suppressed for 8 years, suddenly roared to life, flooding my system with want so intense my knees nearly buckled. Mates. No. Not mates. Mate. Singular? Impossible. I looked up. 3 men stood near the floor-to-ceiling windows, backlit by Seoul's skyline. They weren't talking to each other, weren't even standing together, but something about them formed a constellation, like they were meant to be observed as a set. The first was tall and sharp, all elegant lines and controlled power. His black hair was pushed back from a face that could have been carved from marble, cold, untouchable. He stood with the kind of stillness that made everyone around him seem frantic. The second was broader, warmer. His hair fell across his forehead in soft waves, and when he smiled at something an advisor said, it transformed his entire face. Gentle, approachable, the kind of alpha who'd carry your groceries and mean it. The third was fire contained in human skin, intense dark eyes, sharp jaw, restless energy radiating off him in waves. He looked like he wanted to fight something, anything, just to burn off the excess adrenaline. Ice, warmth, fire, and all 3 of them turned their heads toward me at the exact same moment. Time slowed. The crowd between us might as well have evaporated. The cold one's eyes narrowed. The warm one's smile faded into something confused, searching. The intense one went completely still, every muscle locked. They felt it too. Panic hit me like a freight train. I spun on. My heel embolted, documents forgotten, propriety abandoned, shoving through the crowd toward the exit. "Wait!" The voice was commanding, authoritative, definitely one of them. I didn't wait. I hit the revolving door at a near run, burst onto the street and kept going. My heart hammered against my ribs. Sweat soaked through my shirt. The mate pole stretched behind me like a rubber band, and with every step I took, it pulled tighter. This can't be happening. Not now. Not after 8 years. I'd built my entire existence around being invisible. Around being someone no alpha would ever want enough to claim. And now three of them, kings judging by the crowd's deference, had just locked on to me like heat-seeking missiles. I ducked into a side alley, pressed my back against the cool brick, and tried to remember how to breathe. My phone buzzed. Mr. Choi, where are the documents? I stared at the message, at my trembling hands, at the crossroads I'd just stumbled into. Go back, face them, risk everything I'd built, or run. Again. Behind me, footsteps echoed in the alley. Found you, someone said, voice low and satisfied. I turned. The warm one stood at the alley's entrance, blocking my escape route. Up close, he was devastating. Honey gold skin, kind eyes that were currently filled with wonder. You felt it, he said softly. Not a question. Tell me you felt it. I pressed my lips together, shook my head, his brow furrowed. You can't speak? I nodded, hating myself. He stepped closer. That's okay. We'll figure it out. My name is Park Ye-sung. Step away from him. The cold one appeared behind Jae-sung like a shadow given form. His eyes were chips of black ice, fixed on me with unsettling intensity. Hyun-woo, Jae-sung said without turning. You're scaring him. Good, he ran. That implies deception. The third one, the fire, materialized on the opposite side of the alley, cutting off any retreat. His gaze raked over me, assessing, hungry. Lee Taeyong, he introduced himself with a sharp smile. And you are? I stood trapped between three apex predators, my heart threatening to break through my chest. Jae-sung pulled out his phone, opened a notes app, and offered it to me gently. Just your name, please. My hands shook as I took the phone. Minho, I typed. Minho, Jae-sung repeated, like he was tasting wine. Beautiful. Why did you run? Yeonwoo demanded. Because I'm dangerous. Because one word from me could turn you into slaves. Because I can't risk anyone discovering what I am. I typed, busy, work. Taeyong laughed, sharp and disbelieving. Try again. The mate pull intensified, all three of them focused on me, and I realized with creeping horror that my silence wasn't going to save me this time. They weren't going to let me disappear. Taeyong's phone buzzed. He ignored it, eyes still locked on me like I was a puzzle he intended to solve with his bare hands if necessary. You're trembling, Jae-sung observed, concern softening his features. He took a half step forward. We're not going to hurt you. That's not what I'm afraid of. My Omega instincts were screaming at me to submit, to tilt my head and bare my throat, to let these alphas do whatever they wanted because every cell in my body recognized them as mine. The urge was so strong I had to physically lock my knees to stay upright. But submission meant discovery, and discovery meant losing the fragile freedom I'd clawed together over 8 years. Hyunwoo's nostrils flared. You're in preheat. What? No, absolutely not. I'd been on suppressants for years, military-grade stuff that turned my cycle into a distant memory. I can smell it, he continued, voice flat with certainty. Faint but present. You need to come with us somewhere safe. I shook my head violently, backing up until my spine hit brick. Minho! Jae-sung's voice was pure honey, soothing, dangerous in how badly I wanted to trust it. We're not trying to trap you, but if you go into heat out here, in public, he gestured vaguely at the alley opening, where pedestrians passed by oblivious. It won't be safe. Taeyong crossed his arms. Unless you have an alpha already, someone waiting for you? The suggestion made all three of them go rigid. The temperature in the alley dropped 10 degrees. I grabbed Jae-sung's phone again. No alpha. No heat. You're wrong. Alphas don't make mistakes about heat, Hyunwoo said coldly. Especially not when it's our... He stopped. Jaw working like the next word was physically difficult to produce. When it concerns someone we're connected to. He'd almost said our Omega. The mate bond pulsed, between us, thick and insistent. I could feel them now, distinct threads linking my chest to each of theirs. Ice bright and sharp from Hyunwoo. Warm and steady from Jae-sung. Wild and electric from Taeyong. This was a nightmare. At least let us take you home, Jae-sung tried again. Make sure you're settled somewhere secure. You want my address? Sure, let me just hand over the keys to my life while I'm at it. I typed with more force than necessary. I'm fine. Leave me alone. Taeyong's eyes flashed. That's not happening. Taeyong, Jae-sung warned. What? You felt the bond snap into place. I know you did. Both of you did. Taeyong gestured sharply at Hunwoo, who remained expressionless. We're not letting our mate walk away because he's, what, shy? Stubborn? Mate. There it was, out loud. Confirmed. My hands curled into fists. 8 years of careful control, of building walls between myself and every alpha who'd ever looked twice, and the universe decided to throw 3 destined mates at me in a hotel lobby. The cosmic joke wasn't lost on me. He can't speak, Hunwoo said, studying me with unsettling focus. But his eyes say plenty. I glared at him. Oh, you think you can read me? His lips twitched, almost a smile. You're furious, terrified, and fighting the bond so hard you're giving yourself a headache. How? Your scent, he explained. It broadcasts everything you're trying to hide. Rain and night-blooming flowers when you're calm. Right now? He inhaled slowly. Thunder and crushed petals. Great. My own biology was a snitch. Jae-sung's phone rang. He answered with clear reluctance, eyes never leaving me. Park Jae-sung. Yes, I'm aware we're late. No, something came up. Something important. While he talked, Taeyong drifted closer. Not threatening, just closing distance. Testing boundaries. I held my ground. Barely. You've been alone, a K.J. long time, he said quietly. Not a question. I raised an eyebrow. Is this your idea of small talk? Your scent has no alpha markers, no pack blend. You're completely untethered. His head tilted. That's dangerous for an Omega in a city like Seoul. I've survived this long, haven't I? Survived, he repeated. That's a low bar. My phone buzzed again. Mr. Choi, Minho. Documents. Now, right, work, the real world, the carefully constructed life I needed to protect. I held up my phone, showing them the message. You have somewhere you need to be, Jae-sung said, ending his own call. I nodded quickly. Yes, important. Work emergency. Then we'll escort you. Hyunwoo's tone left no room for argument. Absolutely not. We're not asking permission, he clarified. The urge to use my voice on him was overwhelming. One word, stop. His body would freeze mid-step, his will overridden by the alpha command buried in my vocal cords. But that would reveal everything. This is ridiculous, I typed. You don't even know me. We know enough, Jae-sung said softly. We know you're ours. The certainty in his voice made my chest tight. Taeyong leaned against the alley wall, studying me with dark, amused eyes. You really think you can just walk away? Pretend this didn't happen? Yes, watch me. I shoved past Jae-sung, aiming for the street, made it exactly 3 steps before the world tilted sideways. Heat, sudden and vicious. It crashed through my system like a tidal wave, turning my suppressants into useless sugar pills. My vision blurred. My knees gave out. Strong arms caught me before I hit concrete. I've got you. Jisung's voice close to my ear. His scent wrapped around me, honey-sweet and safe. Hospital, Hyunwoo said sharply. No. Taeyong's hand was suddenly on my forehead, checking temperature. His heat's accelerating. We won't make it. We need somewhere private. Now. I tried to push away from Jae-sung, but my muscles had turned to water. My Omega hindbrain was purring, completely satisfied to be held by an alpha who smelled like home. Traitor, I thought at my own biology. My car's 2 blocks away, Hyunwoo said, already moving. There's a secure property in Gangnam. 20 minutes. He's burning up, Jae-sung murmured, adjusting his grip to lift me completely, like I weighed nothing. I wanted to protest, to fight, to do literally anything except melt into his chest while my body betrayed every principle I'd built my life around. But the heat was a wildfire now, consuming rational thought. Taeyong walked beside us, one hand on my shoulder, grounding. Stay with us, Minho. The last thing I registered before consciousness slipped was the 3 of them moving in perfect synchronization, carrying me toward a future I'd spent 8 years running from. And the terrifying realization that I didn't have the Eeyore strength to run anymore. Consciousness came in fragments. Leather seats, the hum of an expensive engine, Jisung's scent surrounding me like a blanket because somehow I'd ended up in his lap. Oh God. He's waking up, Taeyong said from somewhere close. The front seat, probably. I tried to move. My limbs felt like they'd been replaced with lead. Easy. Jaesung's hand settled on my shoulder, gentle but firm. We're almost there. Where is there exactly? I wanted to ask. But speaking would end everything, so I settled for cracking my eyes open. The car interior was obscenely luxurious. Black leather, chrome accents, privacy partition up. Hyun-woo drove with the same cold precision he seemed to apply to everything else, navigating Seoul traffic like it personally offended him. How's his temperature? Hyun-woo asked, eyes on the road. Jae-sung's hand moved to my forehead. His touch was cool, against my burning skin. Still climbing. The suppressants must be fighting the heat. It's making it worse. Military grade, Taeyong observed, twisting to look at me over the seat. Only way an Omega goes 8 years without a cycle. What are you hiding from, Minho? None of your business, I tried to glare. Pretty sure it came out more like a dazed squint. Taeyong's mouth curved. Still got fight in you. Good. The car turned into an underground garage. Concrete pillars. Dim lighting. Definitely private property. We're here, Hyun-woo announced, killing the engine. Jason shifted, preparing to carry me again. Absolutely not. I shoved at his chest. It was like pushing against a wall, but I must have surprised him because he loosened his grip enough for me to slide off his lap. My legs shook when my feet hit the car floor, but I stayed upright through sheer stubbornness. Minho, Jae-sung started. I held up one finger. Give me a second. The idiot heat was bad. Worse than any fever I'd ever experienced. My skin felt too tight, too hot, and every breath dragged more of their combined scents into my lungs. My Omega hindbrain was practically doing backflips, screaming nest, mate, safe, home, claim, bond, please. But I was still me, still in control. Mostly. Hyun-woo appeared at the car door, holding it open. Can you walk? I nodded. Took one step. Immediately stumbled. Taeyong caught my elbow, steadying me. Pride's going to get you hurt. Pride's kept me alive, I thought viciously. They formed a triangle around me as we moved toward an elevator. Not touching, but close enough to catch me if I fell again. The formation felt instinctive. Protective. It should have been annoying. Instead, some traitorous part of me felt safe. The elevator was mirrored. I caught sight of myself and winced, hair plastered to my forehead with sweat, eyes glassy, cheeks flushed. I looked exactly like an Omega going into heat, which fair, but still humiliating. Stop analyzing your reflection, Hyun-woo said without looking at me. You're fine. Fine? I look like death. You look like ours, Taeyong corrected, somehow reading my expression. The elevator opened directly into a penthouse, floor-to-ceiling windows showcasing Seoul's skyline. Minimalist furniture that probably cost more than my yearly salary. Everything in shades of black, white, and chrome. Guest room is this way. Jae-sung's hand hovered near my lower back, guiding without touching. The guest room was less austere. Soft grays and blues. A massive bed that my heat-addled brain immediately identified as perfect for nesting. No. Bad Omega. We are not nesting in the Three Kings guest room. You need water, Hyun-woo stated. And food. When did you last eat? I genuinely couldn't remember. Jae-sung disappeared, presumably toward the kitchen. Taeyong dropped onto the room's single armchair, legs spread, watching me with unsettling focus. So, 8 years mute, no pack, military-grade suppressants. And the second you meet your destined mates, your body goes into emergency heat. He leaned forward. What's the story, Minho? The story is none of your damn business. I sat on the edge of the bed carefully. Every movement felt like my skin might ignite. He's not going to answer you, Hyun-woo said, leaning against the doorframe. I noticed. Taeyong's smile was sharp. But his scent answers plenty. Spikes of fear every time we mention pack or bonding. He's running from something. Someone. My hands clenched in the bedsheets. Leave him alone, Hyunwoo said quietly. He's in heat. This isn't the time for interrogation. Taeyong's expression shifted, something almost apologetic. You're right. Sorry, Minho. Jae-sung returned with water, crackers, and what looked like medication. Fever reducers, he explained, offering them. They won't stop the heat, but they'll help with the worst of it. I took them gratefully, swallowed the pills. The water felt like heaven on my parched throat. We should discuss boundaries, Jason continued, sitting beside me. Careful to maintain space. You're in heat. We're your mates. Instinct is going to push all of us toward certain activities. Oh God, please don't say it. But you can't consent properly right now, he finished. So nothing happens unless you initiate it. Clear? I stared at him, at all three of them. They were asking permission, setting boundaries, during a heat that was making every Omega instinct scream for claiming and nodding, and all the things I'd spent 8 years avoiding? We're not monsters, Hyunwoo said, reading my shock. Mate bond or not, you have autonomy. Something in my chest cracked, just a little. Who are you people? We're yours, Jae-sung said softly, like it was simple. And you're ours. Everything else, we'll figure out. The heat spiked again. I doubled over, gasping. Instantly, all three were closer. Not touching, but present. Their scents wrapping around me, soothing the worst of the pain. Breathe, Taeyong instructed. Through your nose, slowly. I obeyed. Their combined scents helped more than the medication. My Omega hindbrain purred, satisfied by alpha proximity. Better? Jae-sung asked. I nodded weakly. You should rest, Hyunwoo said. We'll be right outside if you need anything. You're leaving. The thought shouldn't have panicked me, but suddenly the idea of being alone, without their sense, felt unbearable. Jae-sung hesitated at the door. Unless you want us to stay? Yes. No. Maybe. I didn't know what I wanted anymore. I pointed at the armchair. Then the door. One of you. Not all three. I'll stay, Jae-sung volunteered immediately. Taeyong looked like he wanted to argue, but Hyunwoo's hand on his shoulder stopped him. We'll be in the living room, Hyunwoo said. Then directly to me, you're safe here, Minho. I promise. The scary part was, I believed him. After they left, Jae-sung settled into the armchair, giving me space. Try to sleep. Your body needs rest to process the heat. I curled onto my side, pulling a pillow against my chest. Poor substitute for what my instincts actually wanted, but it would have to do. Minho, Jae-sung's voice was soft in the darkness. Whatever you're running from, we'll protect you from it. You don't have to carry it alone anymore. I closed my eyes against the sting of unexpected tears. You don't know what you're promising, but for the first time in 8 years, a tiny, desperate part of me wanted to believe someone could. If you're loving Minho's journey and want to see what happens when the truth finally comes out, hit that subscribe button. Trust me, the twists ahead are going to break your heart in the best way. Sleep didn't come. How could it when my body was fighting itself? The heat rolled through me in waves, each one stronger than the last. I buried my face in the pillow, trying to muffle the pathetic whimpers my throat kept producing. Minho, Jae-sung's voice, closer than before. I cracked one eye open. He'd moved from the armchair to the floor beside the bed, close enough to touch but still maintaining that careful distance. Your scent is in distress, he said quietly. What do you need? You, all of you. A nest built from your clothes and your presence and... I shook my head violently, managed to grab my phone from where it had fallen on the bed. Nothing. I'm fine. You're a terrible liar, but his tone was gentle. Even without words, the fever spiked again. I curled tighter, nails digging into my palms. Jae-sung's hand hovered over my shoulder. Can I touch you? Just to help with the temperature? I should have said no. Should have maintained every boundary I'd built. I nodded. His palms settled on my shoulder blade, warm and solid. Instantly, the worst of the burning eased. My Omega hindbrain practically melted. Better? I nodded again, not trusting myself to look at him. You're shaking, he observed. Heat, obviously. No. His thumb traced small circles against my shoulder. This is different. You're afraid. My phone was still in my hand. I typed one-handed. Not afraid. Minho. He waited until I finally turned my head to meet his eyes. I've been an alpha for 15 years. I know fear when I smell it. Whatever happened to you, whoever hurt you, they're not here. You're safe. You keep saying that. Because it's true. You don't know me. Then let me. The simple statement cracked something in my chest. When was the last time someone had wanted to know me? Not the mute archive worker. Not the invisible Omega. Me. Before I could type a response, raised voices filtered through the door. Absolutely not. Hyunwoo, ice cold and furious. You can't keep him here against his will. A new voice. Older. Authority dripping from every syllable. My blood turned to ice. I knew that voice. Jae-sung was on his feet instantly. Stay here. Like hell. I stumbled after him, heat forgotten in the wake of pure adrenaline. The living room had acquired new occupants. Hyunwoo and Taeyong stood in defensive positions near the windows, and between them and the door, Elder Kim Sang-woo, head of the Seoul Lotus Pack Council, the man who'd signed my rehabilitation order 8 years ago. Ah! His eyes landed on me, sharp and calculating. There you are, Minho. Or should I say, Kang Minho, the runaway Omega we've been searching for. Every drop of blood drained from my face. You know him? Taeyong's voice was dangerous. Know him? Elder Kim's smile was thin. He's one of our pack's most wanted. Disappeared 8 years ago to avoid mandatory treatment for a very serious condition. No. No. What condition? Hyunwoo demanded. He didn't tell you? Elder Kim's eyebrows rose. How fascinating. Tell me, has our dear Minho spoken to you at all? Jae-sung stepped protectively in front of me. He's mute. Is he? Elder Kim's expression was pure malice. Or is that what he wants you to believe? The room went deadly silent. Explain, Hyunwoo said flatly. Now. Elder Kim settled onto the leather couch like he owned it. Kang Minho possesses an extremely rare and dangerous ability. When he speaks with intent, he can override an alpha's free will entirely. Alpha command, we call it. He can make any alpha do anything he wants. Taeyong's eyes snapped to me. Is that true? I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. 8 years ago, he used this ability on his own brother, Elder Kim continued. Forced him to his knees like a puppet. The council determined he needed specialized training to control this power. For everyone's safety, including his own. Training, Jae-sung repeated. Or imprisonment. Rehabilitation, Elder Kim corrected smoothly. In a facility designed for Omegas with dangerous abilities. He ran before treatment could begin. And you've been hunting him since. Hyunwoo's voice was permafrost. Protecting the pack, Elder Kim said. Imagine what could happen if an Omega with that kind of power fell into the wrong hands. Or worse, decided to use it for personal gain. I wanted to scream, to defend myself, to explain that I'd never wanted this power, that I'd silenced myself specifically to protect people. But speaking would prove his point. So you can talk, Taeyong said quietly, studying me. Not angry, just processing. I shook my head desperately. The ability exists whether he uses it or not, Elder Kim said, which is why he needs to return to the pack, to be properly monitored and trained. He's not going anywhere with you. Jae-sung's tone left no room for argument. Elder Kim's expression hardened. He's a member of the Seoul Lotus Pack. That supersedes any personal interest you might have developed. Personal interest? Taeyong laughed, sharp and humorless. He's our mate. The temperature in the room plummeted. Elder Kim went very still. Your mate? Destined bond, Hyunwoo confirmed. Recognized by all three of us simultaneously. You can't take him. I see. Elder Kim stood slowly. This complicates things. It ends things, Jae-sung corrected. Mate bonds supersede pack law. You know that. Only if the bond is completed, Elder Kim countered. Has it been? Have you claimed him? Marked him? Bound him to you irrevocably? The silence answered for them. Elder Kim smiled. Then legally he still belongs to Seoul Lotus Pack. and I have the authority to remand him to protective custody. My knees buckled. Jae-sung caught me, his arms banding around my waist. Over my dead body, he said quietly. That can be arranged. The threat hung in the air, velvet-wrapped and vicious. Hyunwoo moved between Elder Kim and us. You're in our territory now. Making threats is unwise. Is it a threat or a promise to protect Pak interests? Elder Kim adjusted his cufflinks. I'll give you 24 hours to decide. Either complete the bond and take full responsibility for controlling his ability or return him to proper supervision. He headed for the door, then paused. Oh, and Minho, if you use your ability on any of them, even once, the bond becomes void. We'll know. We always know. The door clicked shut behind him. I stood frozen in Jae-sung's arms, my entire world crumbling. They knew. They all knew. Slowly, Jae-sung turned me to face him. His expression was unreadable. Is it true? He asked softly. Can you speak? I stared at him. At all three of them. 8 years of secrets, 8 years of protection, 8 years of loneliness, all destroyed in 5 minutes. My hands shook as I reached for my phone. Typed 4 words that felt like confession and death sentence all at once. Yes, I can speak. Taeyong exhaled slowly. Why didn't you tell us? Because this happens, I wanted to scream. Because the second people know what I can do, I become a weapon, a threat, something to be controlled. Show us, Hyunwoo said. My head snapped up. Your ability, he clarified. Show us what you can do. Are you insane? You want us to trust you, he continued, expression carved from ice. Then trust us first. Let us see what you're so afraid of. Jae-sung's arms tightened around me. Hyunwoo, he's terrified. And we need to know why. Those black eyes pinned me in place. Show us, Minho. Use your ability on me. Right now. Absolutely not. I shook my head so hard my vision blurred. Jae-sung's arms were still around me, the only thing keeping me upright as panic clawed up my throat. Hyunwoo, this is a terrible idea, Jae-sung said. Is it? Hyunwoo took a step closer. He's been silent for 8 years because he's terrified of his own power. That kind of fear doesn't just disappear. It festers, becomes something worse. You want him to use Alpha Command on you to prove a point? Taeyong sounded incredulous. I want him to see that we're not afraid of him. Hyunwoo's gaze never left mine. That his ability doesn't change what we are to each other. You don't understand what you're asking. My phone felt like lead in my shaking hands. I could make you do anything. Hurt yourself. Hurt them. You'd have no choice. I know, Hyunwoo said simply. Do it anyway. This is insane, Jae-sung muttered, but his grip on me loosened slightly, giving me space to choose. I looked at Taeyong. Surely he'd be the voice of reason? He shrugged. I mean, I'm curious. And if you're going to accidentally mind control one of us during heat-addled delirium, better to know what we're dealing with now. You're all insane. Probably, Taeyong agreed with a sharp grin. But we're your insane mates, so. The casual way he said it, like it was already decided, made my chest tight. Hyunwoo crossed his arms, waiting. I'm not going to force you, Minho, but hiding from this, from yourself, hasn't worked. 8 years of silence, and where has it gotten you? Still running, still afraid. The words hit like physical blows. That's not fair, Jae-sung said quietly. Fair? Hyunwoo's voice remained flat. Elder Kim gave us 24 hours. In 24 hours, either we complete a mate bond with someone we barely know, or we let the pack take him to a facility designed to break Omegas who don't comply. Where's the fairness in any of this? Silence crashed through the room. He was right. I hated that he was right. The heat pulsed through me again, making coherent thought difficult. But underneath the fever, underneath the fear, something else stirred. Anger. I'd spent 8 years making myself small, silent, invisible, letting the world decide what I was worth because I was too afraid to speak up. And where had it gotten me? Right back to the nightmare I'd been running from. My hands were steadier than they should have been as I stepped out of Jae-sung's embrace. I walked to where Hyunwoo stood, stopping just close enough to see the flecks of dark brown in his otherwise black eyes. He didn't move, didn't even blink. "Last chance," I typed. "You asked for this." "I know what I'm asking for," he said softly. "The question is, do you trust yourself enough to do it?" Trust myself? That was the problem. I didn't. I'd never trusted myself with this. But maybe it was time to try. I took a breath, let it fill my lungs. 8 years since I'd spoken with intent. 8 years since I'd let the power coiled in my vocal cords actually mean something. My lips parted. "Neil," the word came out rough, unpracticed, but laced with something that made the air shimmer. Hunwoo's eyes flashed silver. His body moved before conscious thought could interfere, muscles responding to a command that bypassed his will entirely. His knees hit the floor with a dull thud. The room went deathly still. Jae-sung inhaled sharply. Taeyong swore under his breath. Hyunwoo stared up at me, expression unreadable. But his eyes were still silver, still glazed with the compulsion I'd wrapped around him like chains. Horror crashed through me. Oh God. Oh God, I did it. Actually. "Now let him go," Jae-sung said carefully. "Tell him to stand." My throat had locked up again. The familiar panic. The choking fear that speaking would break everything. "Minho," Taeyong's hand on my shoulder, grounding. "He can't move until you release him. You have to speak again." I shook my head. "I can't. What if I make it worse?" "You won't," Taeyong said with complete certainty, "because you don't want to hurt him. Intent matters, remember? That's what Elder Kim said. You have to mean it." My gaze dropped to Hyunwoo, still kneeling, still trapped in my command. This was exactly what I'd been afraid of for 8 years. The proof that I could strip away an alpha's autonomy with a single word. That I was dangerous, wrong, something that needed to be locked away. But Hyunwoo's eyes, they were clearing, silver fading back to black, and his expression wasn't fear. It was understanding. "Minho," he said, voice steady despite his body's frozen state. "I'm not afraid of you. I'm not angry. You did exactly what I asked you to do. You should be terrified." "Stand," I whispered. The words scraped out of my throat like broken glass. "You're free." The silver disappeared completely. Hyunwoo rose in one fluid movement, completely in control of his own body again. We stared at each other. Then he did something I didn't expect. He smiled. "See?" he said quietly. "You gave the command, and then you let me go. That's control, Minho. That's the opposite of what Elder Kim wants you to believe about yourself." My knees buckled. This time, Hyunwoo was the one who caught me, his arms surprisingly gentle. "I could have made you hurt yourself," I said, my voice hoarse and strange in my own ears after so long. "I could have made you do anything, but you didn't." Jae-sung appeared on my other side. "You chose to release him." 8 years, Taeyong said, something like awe in his voice. 8 years of silence because you were afraid you'd hurt someone. Do you have any idea how much strength that takes?" "Strength?" I thought it was cowardice. "You're not a weapon," Yunwoo said, still holding me. "You're an Omega with an ability that scares you. There's a difference." The heat chose that moment to spike again, vicious and demanding. I gasped, curling into Hyunwoo's chest. "We need to cool him down," Jae-sung said urgently. "The fever's getting worse." Taeyong was already moving toward the hallway. "Bathroom. Cold water." They carried me between them, my newly freed voice reduced to pathetic whimpers as heat consumed rational thought. The bathroom was all marble and chrome, expensive and cold. Jae-sung started the shower, testing the temperature. "Too cold and we'll send him into shock," he muttered. "Not cold enough and we won't break the fever," Taeyong countered. I couldn't focus on their argument. The heat was eating me alive from the inside out. My skin felt like it might split open. My Omega hindbrain was screaming for relief that only a bond could provide. "Please," I heard myself whimper, the word barely human. 3 pairs of eyes locked onto me. "Please what?" Hyunwoo asked carefully. "Tell us what you need, Minho." I opened my mouth, closed it. The words were too much, too vulnerable, too real. But I'd already used my voice twice tonight, already proven that speaking wouldn't destroy the world. You, I whispered, the confession tearing out of me. I need you. All of you. I can't. I can't fight this anymore. The air in the bathroom electrified. The bond, Jae-sung said quietly. You're asking us to complete the bond. Was I? I didn't know anymore. Didn't know anything except that every instinct I possessed was screaming that these three alphas were mine, and I was theirs, and fighting it was killing me. 24 hours, I managed through chattering teeth. Elder Kim said, 24 hours. Forget Elder Kim, Taeyong growled. This isn't about him. Hyunwoo's hand cupped my face, forcing me to meet his eyes. This is about you. What do you actually want, Minho? Not what the heat wants, not what pack politics demands. What do you want? And that was the question I'd been avoiding for 8 years. What did I want? The question hung in the air between us, heavy with implications I wasn't ready to face. The shower ran behind me, steam filling the bathroom, making everything feel surreal. I want... My voice cracked. God, even talking felt foreign. I want to not be afraid anymore. Hyunwoo's thumb brushed my cheekbone. Then stop running. It's not that simple, isn't it? Taeyong leaned against the bathroom counter, arms crossed. You've built this whole life around hiding, but we already know your secret, Minho. The scary part's over. The scary part is just beginning, I corrected. Elder Kim won't stop. The pack won't stop. And you three, I looked at each of them. You barely know me. This mate bond could be a mistake. Do you feel like a mistake? Jae-sung asked quietly. No, that was the problem. They felt like coming home after being lost for 8 years. Another wave of heat crashed through me. I doubled over, gasping. My skin was on fire. Every nerve ending screamed. Minho! Hyunwoo's voice was strained. You're sent. You need to get in the water, now! Jae-sung was already reaching for my shirt. I batted his hands away weakly. I can undress myself, I panted. Your hands are shaking too badly, he pointed out. He was right, damn him. I let him help with my shirt, trying to ignore how his fingers brushed my overheated skin. Taeyong knelt, to untie my shoes. The casual intimacy of it, all three of them taking care of me, should have been uncomfortable. Instead, it felt inevitable. Hyunwoo adjusted the shower temperature one more time before stepping back. Call if you need anything. You're leaving? The words came out more panicked than intended. You need privacy, he said carefully. And we need distance, before instinct overrides common sense. Right. Because I was in heat and they were alphas, and the mate bond was pulling all of us towards something irrevocable. I stumbled into the shower fully clothed in my underwear, too disoriented to care about modesty. The lukewarm water hit my skin like ice. I gasped, bracing against the marble wall. Better. This was better. Slowly, the worst of the fever started to break. My thoughts cleared enough to process what had just happened. I'd used my voice, commanded an alpha, and the world hadn't ended. Hyunwoo hadn't feared me. None of them had. The bathroom door was still cracked open. I could hear them in the hallway, voices low. We can't keep him here against his will, Jae-sung was saying. That makes us no better than Elder Kim. He came willingly, Taeyong countered. He collapsed in our arms, remember? He was in heat. That's not exactly informed consent. So what do you suggest? We let him go back to that shoebox apartment and hope Elder Kim doesn't show up at his door tomorrow? Silence. We complete the bond, Hyunwoo said flatly. Tonight, my heart stuttered. He's not ready, Jae-sung protested. None of us are ready, Hyunwoo replied. But Elder Kim was right about one thing. An incomplete mate bond has no legal protection. The pack can still claim him. If we bond him properly, he becomes ours by every law that matters. You want to bond him to save him from the pack? Taeyong's voice was sharp. That's not a good reason. No, Hyunwoo said quietly. I want to bond him because every instinct I have is screaming that he's mine. Ours. The pack situation just makes it urgent. The water ran over me, but I couldn't feel it anymore. Couldn't feel anything except the weight of what they were discussing. What if he says no, Jae-sung asked. Then we protect him anyway, Hyunwoo answered. and deal with whatever consequences come. Something in my chest cracked wide open. They were willing to fight for me, to protect me, even without the guarantee of a bond. When was the last time someone had chosen me? Not what I could do for them, not what power I represented, just me. I turned off the shower, grabbed one of the expensive towels hanging nearby. My clothes were soaked, clinging uncomfortably. The heat had broken, but it would come back. It always came back in waves during a full cycle. I stepped out of the bathroom wearing nothing but the towel. All three of them turned, conversation dying mid-sentence. Minho, Jason started. I heard you, I said. My voice was still rough, unpracticed, but steady. All of it. Hyunwoo's expression didn't change. And? And you're right. Elder Kim won't stop. The pack will keep hunting me. I tightened the towel. But I won't be claimed just to escape them. I've spent 8 years refusing to be someone's tool. I'm not starting now. We don't want a tool, Taeyong said. We want you. You don't know me. Then let us. Jae-sung moved closer. No bond, no claiming. Not until you're ready. Just stay. Talk to us. Let us know the person behind the silence. The offer was so simple, so impossible. I wouldn't even know where to start. Start with your name, Hyunwoo suggested. Your real story, not the one Elder Kim tells. I looked at them, really looked. 3 alphas who should have terrified me, who should have seen my ability and run. Instead, they stood in this hallway asking me to stay. Kang Minho, I said slowly. 26. I've been running since I was 18 because I accidentally discovered I could override an alpha's free will with my voice. The words came faster now. 8 years of silence breaking like a dam. My brother Jai-ho was furious about something. I don't even remember what. We were arguing and I got frustrated and told him to kneel. And he did. Just dropped like I'd cut his strings. My hands clenched in the towel. The look on his face when he realized what I'd done to him, like I was a monster. Maybe I am. You're not, Jason said firmly. The elders wanted to rehabilitate me. Lock me in a facility until I learned to control it. Except their version of control meant never speaking again. Becoming a perfect, silent Omega who couldn't threaten the pack hierarchy. I laughed bitterly. So I gave them what they wanted, just not in their facility. 8 years of silence, Taeyong murmured. That's not weakness, Minho. That's survival. Is it? Or is it just a different kind of prison? The heat pulsed again. Gentler this time, but present. A reminder that biology didn't care about emotional revelations. I swayed. Hyunwoo caught me before I could fall. Bed, he said. Now, before you collapse again. They guided me back to the guest room. I expected them to leave, to give me space. Instead, Jae-sung settled into the armchair. Taeyong sat on the floor back against the wall. Hyunwoo took up position by the window, guarding me, all 3 of them. You don't have to stay, I said, curling under the covers. We know, Jae-sung replied. We want to. Why? Because you're ours, Hyunwoo stated, like it was fact, and we take care of what's ours. The mate bond hummed between us, warm and insistent, not demanding, just present, waiting for us to acknowledge what it already knew. I'm scared, I admitted quietly, of the bond, of what it means, of losing myself again. You won't lose yourself, Taeyong promised. A mate bond doesn't erase who you are. It just means you don't have to carry everything alone anymore. My eyes were already closing, exhaustion and heat and emotional overload finally catching up. Stay, I whispered. Always, came Yae-sung's soft reply. I drifted off to the sound of their breathing, surrounded by their scents, and for the first time in 8 years, I didn't feel alone. Okay, so Minho finally spoke, and things are getting intense. If you're screaming at your screen right now wondering what happens next with Elder Kim's deadline and this mate bond situation, smash that subscribe button. The next phase is where everything changes. Trust me, you don't want to miss this. Now let's see what choice Minho makes. Sleep pulled me under, but consciousness didn't fully release its grip. I floated in that strange space between waking and dreaming, aware of the room around me while my mind wandered. Voices filtered through the haze. His fever's spiking again. Jae-sung worried. Expected, Hyunwoo replied. Heat cycles don't resolve in a few hours, especially not ones triggered this suddenly. We should call a doctor. And tell them what? That our mate bond triggered an emergency heat, and now we have three alphas trying not to climb into bed with an Omega who can mind control us? Taeyong's dry tone almost made me smile. When you put it like that, he needs to decide, Hyunwoo said quietly. About the bond. About us. Elder Kim's deadline isn't the only clock we're fighting. Every hour his heat intensifies without relief. We're not completing a bond just to ease his heat, Jae-sung cut in sharply. That's coercion. I know that. Irritation crept into Hyunwoo's voice. I'm saying we need to talk to him. Actually talk. Figure out what he wants. He wants to not be controlled, Taeyong said. By Elder Kim, by the pack. Probably by us too, if we push. Silence fell. I kept my breathing steady, pretending to sleep. So we give him control, Hyunwoo finally said. Completely. No pressure, no expectations, just options. You're talking about letting him set the terms of the bond? Jae-sung sounded surprised. Why not? Traditional bonding rituals are designed for pack politics. Minho doesn't need that. He needs choice. My chest tightened. They were discussing restructuring centuries of tradition. For me. Elder Kim will lose his mind, Taeyong pointed out. Elder Kim can rot, Hyunwoo replied flatly. This is between us and our mate. No one else. Our mate. They kept saying it like it was already decided, like the bond was inevitable. Maybe it was. The heat pulsed again, stronger this time. I couldn't suppress the whimper that escaped. Instantly, all three were closer, not touching, but present. Minho, Jae-sung's voice soft. I opened my eyes. The room was darker now, only the city lights filtering through the windows. My skin felt too tight again, fever climbing. How long was I asleep? My voice came out rough. About an hour, Taeyong answered. He'd moved to sit on the edge of the bed. Your heat's getting worse. No kidding. I tried to sit up. My muscles protested. Easy. Jae-sung was there, helping me. His touch sent electricity down my spine. I pulled away, needing distance to think clearly. I heard you, talking about the bond. No point pretending. Hyunwoo's expression didn't change. And? You're really willing to let me, write my own bonding terms? Why not? He moved to lean against the dresser, arms crossed. You've had your autonomy stripped away once already. We're not doing that again. That's not how mate bonds work. Says who? Taeyong challenged. The same pack elders who wanted to lock you up? The same traditions that treat Omegas like property, to be claimed and controlled? He had a point. What would it even look like? I asked. A bond on my terms? Whatever you need it to be, Jae-sung said simply. The heat was making it hard to focus, but I forced my brain to work through the possibilities. What if I don't want a traditional claim? The biting, the marking, all of it. Then we find another way, Hyunwoo said. What if I need time? Months, maybe years before I'm ready. We wait. What if, I took a shaky breath, what if I want the bond but not the pack politics? No public ceremony, no Elder Kim's approval, nothing official? Even better, Taeyong said with a sharp grin. I hate official ceremonies anyway. This was surreal. You're just agreeing to everything? We're agreeing to you, Jae-sung corrected. However that looks. The fever spiked viciously. I gasped, curling forward. Sweat soaked through the borrowed shirt I'd changed into. Minho, Hyunwoo was beside the bed now. You need to let us help. This heat is going to get worse before it gets better. Help how? I managed through gritted teeth. Scent marking, physical contact. It won't complete the bond, but it'll ease the worst symptoms. My Omega hindbrain perked up at that. Yes, touch, alphas, safety, but my rational mind hesitated. That's intimate. So is sleeping in our guest room surrounded by our scents, Taeyong pointed out. You've already trusted us this far. He was right. I'd let them see my ability, heard my voice, knew my secret. What was a little physical contact compared to that? Okay, I whispered. Help. Jae-sung moved first, settling beside me on the bed. His hand found mine, fingers intertwining. The simple contact sent relief washing through my system. Taeyong took up position on my other side, close but not touching yet. Tell us if it's too much. I will. Hyunwoo remained standing, ever the observer. Your scent is already calming. It was true, the worst of the burning had eased just from Jae-sung's hand in mine. Come here, I said to Taeyong. The words felt bold, foreign. Please. His smile was softer than I'd seen before. He shifted closer, his shoulder pressing against mine. Heat radiated from him, but instead of making my fever worse, it somehow balanced it out. Better? He asked. Yeah. I leaned into him slightly. Hyunwoo. He raised an eyebrow. Demanding little Omega. You offered to help. Something that might have been amusement flickered across his face. He sat on the bed's edge, his hand coming to rest on my ankle through the blanket. Even that small contact point sent relief through me. We sat like that for several minutes. My breathing evened out. The fever didn't disappear, but it became manageable. This is weird, I said into the comfortable silence. Weird how? Yesung asked. I've spent 8 years avoiding touch, especially from alphas. And now, I looked at each of them. Now I don't want to let go. Then don't, Taeyong said simply. The heat will pass, Hyunwoo added. But the bond won't. Whatever you decide, whatever form it takes, we're not going anywhere. Even if Elder Kim shows up tomorrow with half the pack council? Especially then. The certainty in his voice made me believe him. I have a condition, I said slowly. If we do this, if we bond. Name it, Jae-sung said. I want to learn to control my ability. Really control it. Not suppress it, not hide from it. Learn to use it intentionally and safely. I met each of their eyes. I don't want to be afraid of my own voice anymore. Done, Hyunwoo said immediately. We'll find you a teacher. Someone outside the pack's influence. There's more. I took a breath. I want us to be equal. All 4 of us. Not 3 alphas and their omega. Partners. Obviously, Taeyong said. You think we want a mate who just agrees with everything we say? Where's the fun in that? Despite everything, I laughed. Actual laughter that felt foreign after so long. He laughs, Jae-sung said with wonder. I was starting to think you were physically incapable. I'm full of surprises. Clearly, Hyunwoo's thumb traced circles on my ankle. Any other conditions? I thought about it, about what I really needed. Honesty, complete honesty. No hiding things to protect me, or because you think I can't handle it. I've had enough of people making decisions for me. We can do that, Jae-sung agreed. And this one was harder. Patience. I'm going to mess this up. A lot. I don't know how to be bonded, how to trust people, how to not run when things get hard. We'll mess up too, Taeyong assured me. That's kind of how relationships work. Is that what we are? A relationship? That's what we're building, Hyunwoo said. One choice at a time. The heat pulsed again, but gentler this time. Bearable. Okay, I said. Let's build it. The words hung in the air between us, feeling more like a vow than I'd intended. 3 pairs of eyes locked onto me with varying degrees of intensity. Now? Taeyong asked, something eager and dangerous flickering in his expression. He's in heat, Jae-sung reminded him. We agreed. No bond until he's clear-headed. I am clear-headed. My voice was stronger now, certain. The heat's just biology. My choice is mine. Hyunwoo's gaze sharpened. You're sure? Was I? I'd spent 8 years running from exactly this moment. From connection, from vulnerability, from letting anyone close enough to hurt me. But these 3 alphas had seen the worst parts of me. The dangerous ability, the fear, the broken pieces I'd been trying to hide, and they'd stayed. I'm sure I want a bond, I said, but not a traditional bond. Not yet. What are you thinking? Yesung's thumb traced patterns on my palm, soothing. Scent bonding first. I struggled to find words for what I needed. Just enough to make Elder Kim back off. To prove to the pack that I'm claimed without giving up control, Hyunwoo finished. Smart. Scent bonding won't hold legally, Taeyong pointed out. Not like a full mark. It'll buy us time, I countered. Time to figure out what we actually want this to be. Instead of rushing because of deadlines and pack politics. The eerie heat pulsed again. My skin flushed. Jae-sung's scent grew stronger in response. his alpha instincts reacting to my distress. Minho, his voice had dropped an octave. If we do this, if we scent bond you tonight, there's no going back. The pack will know. Elder Kim will know. You'll be publicly claimed. Good. I met his eyes. Let them know. I'm done hiding. Something possessive and primal flashed across all three faces simultaneously. How do you want to do this? Yunwoo asked, voice carefully controlled. I'd researched scent bonding years ago, back when I'd still thought normal relationships might be possible. The theory was simple. Alphas marked their mates with scent glands at the wrists and neck. The Omega's body absorbed and transformed the scent, advertising the bond to anyone with functioning olfactory senses. But theory was different from practice. I don't know, I admitted. I've never done this before. We'll guide you, Jason said softly. Every step. You say stop, we stop. Understood? I nodded. Taeyong shifted closer, his hand coming to rest on my knee. Who do you want first? The question made me freeze. First, like this was going to happen 3 separate times. 3 different scents layering onto my skin until I smelled like all of them. The thought should have terrified me. Instead, my Omega hindbrain purred with satisfaction. You, I said to Jason. You first. His smile was gentle, warm. Okay, give me your wrist. I extended my arm, hand trembling slightly. He caught it carefully, turning it so my inner wrist faced up. The skin there was thin, sensitive. I could see my pulse jumping. This might feel intense, he warned. The first scent bond always is. Before I could ask what he meant, his wrist pressed against mine. Heat bloomed at the contact point. Not painful, but overwhelming. His scent, honey, and warmth and safety seemed to sink directly into my bloodstream. My body absorbed it greedily, Omega biology recognizing its mate. Oh, I breathed. Good? Jae-sung asked, voice strained. Yeah, really good. He held the contact for several heartbeats before releasing. When he pulled back, the scent lingered. My wrist tingled where we'd touched. That's... I stared at my arm. I can feel you, under my skin. That's the bond, he confirmed. Now you'll always carry part of me. The intimacy of it hit me. This wasn't just marking territory, it was connection. Real, tangible connection that I could feel in my bones. Me next, Taeyong said, already reaching for my other wrist. His scent was different, wild and electric. When our wrists connected, it felt like touching a live wire. Energy crackled between us, sharp and exhilarating. I gasped. That's intense? He grinned. I've been told I have that effect. Cocky, I managed. You like it. Maybe I did. Maybe I liked all of this more than I wanted to admit. Hyunwoo moved closer as Taeyong released my wrist. Last chance to back out. I'm not backing out. Good. His fingers circled my wrist, cool against my fevered skin. Because I don't share well, and you're already starting to smell like ours. When he pressed our wrists together, it was different again. Cold fire, ice and darkness, and something that felt like coming home to a place I'd never been. My head fell back against the headboard. 3 scents now, layering, intertwining, becoming something new on my skin. The neck, Jae-sung said quietly, to complete it. Right. Wrist bonding was intimate, but neck bonding was the final seal. The part that made the claim visible to anyone with eyes to see. All 3 of you, my voice came out breathless. If you'll have us, Hyunwoo replied. I tilted my head, exposing the vulnerable column of my throat. Every instinct I had screamed that this was dangerous, that giving alphas access to my neck was asking to be hurt. But I trusted them. Somehow, impossibly, I did. Jae-sung's lips found the scent gland on the left side of my neck first, not biting, not marking permanently, just pressing his scent into my skin with gentle kisses that made my toes curl. Taeyong took the right side, his approach more aggressive, teeth scraping lightly before his scent gland rubbed against mine. Hyunwoo waited until they both pulled back before leaning in. His mouth found the sensitive spot where neck met shoulder. The kiss he pressed there was possessive and claiming and somehow still reverent. When all 3 pulled away, I was shaking, Not from fear, from the sheer intensity of having three different alpha scents bonded into my skin. How do you feel? Jae-sung asked. Like I'm on fire. I looked at them. Like I'm finally exactly where I'm supposed to be. Taeyong's hand cupped my face. You are. The mate bond, still incomplete but stronger now, pulsed between all four of us. I could feel them. Actually feel their emotions through the connection. Satisfaction, possessiveness, affection, and underneath it all, the same bone-deep certainty I felt. Hours. A phone buzzed. Yunwoo checked it, his expression darkening. Elder Kim, he said flatly, wants to meet. Tomorrow at noon. Let him come, I said. The scent bond had given me courage I didn't know I possessed. Let him see what he can't have. Hyunwoo's lips curved into something that might have been a smile. Brave little Omega. You're brave little Omega, I corrected. Ours, all three said in unison. The heat pulsed again, but this time it felt different. Less like burning and more like warmth. Like my body finally recognized that I was safe, claimed, protected. Sleep, Jae-sung urged, already pulling me down to lie against him. We'll deal. With Elder Kim tomorrow. Taeyong settled on my other side, his arm draping across my waist. Hyunwoo took up position at the foot of the bed. Ever the guardian. Surrounded by my alphas, their scents now permanently woven into mine, I finally let myself believe that maybe, just maybe, I'd found something worth staying for. Something worth fighting for. Minho, Jae-sung's voice was soft in the darkness. Yeah? Thank you for choosing us. I pressed closer to him, breathing in the combined scent of honey, electricity, and ice that now belonged to me as much as it belonged to them. Thank you for being worth choosing. And for the first time in 8 years, I fell asleep without fear. But sleep didn't last long. My eyes opened to unfamiliar shadows. My body still wrapped in warmth from three alphas who'd rearranged themselves around me like protective barriers. Jae-sung's chest was against my back. His, breathing deep and even. Taeyong had somehow ended up with his head on my stomach, one arm thrown possessively across my hips. Hyunwoo sat in the armchair, awake and watchful. Can't sleep? He asked quietly. I shook my head, careful not to wake the others. Too much in my head. Elder Kim? Everything. I shifted slightly. Taeyong mumbled something unintelligible and tightened his grip. 8 years of running, and now I'm just here, claimed, bonded. It feels surreal. Regrets? No. The answer came without hesitation. That's what's surreal. I should be terrified. Instead, I feel safe, Hyunwoo finished. Yeah. He rose from the chair, moving to sit on the bed's edge. The meeting with Elder Kim. You don't have to face him. Yes, I do. I met his eyes. I've been letting people make choices for me my whole life. My brother, the elders, even myself when I chose silence. I need to do this. We'll be with you. I know. And that made all the difference. Morning came too quickly. The heat had finally broken completely, leaving me exhausted but clear-headed. Jae-sung made breakfast, while Taeyong tried to convince me that showing up to meet Elder Kim in pajamas was a power move. Hyunwoo ignored both of them, laying out clothes he'd apparently had delivered. You planned this, I accused, holding up the perfectly tailored outfit. I planned for possibilities, he corrected. There's a difference. By 11:30, we stood in the penthouse living room. I wore clothes that actually fit, surrounded by three alphas in suits that probably cost more than my yearly salary. The scent bond was obvious now. Anyone with functioning senses would smell them on me. The doorbell rang at exactly noon. Punctual bastard, Taeyong muttered. Hyunwoo opened the door. Elder Kim stood there flanked by two pack enforcers, his expression carved from stone. Your Majesties, he greeted with minimal respect. And Minho, still here, I see. Where else would I be? I stepped forward, past my alpha's protective formation. Their instinct was to shield me, but this was my fight. Elder Kim's nostrils flared. You've been scent bonded. Observant. His eyes narrowed. That changes nothing. Scent bonds aren't legally binding without a full claim. Actually, Hyunwoo said coldly, they are. According to Continental Pact law, Article 12, Section 4. Any omega bearing the scent of 3 or more bonded alphas is considered claim regardless of marking status. Elder Kim's jaw tightened. That law hasn't been invoked in decades. Until now. Jason's smile was pleasant and absolutely threatening. Minho is our mate, legally recognized. Your pack has no claim on him. He's a danger to pack stability. He's an omega with an ability, I corrected, finding my voice. One I'm going to learn to control, on my terms, not locked in your facility being broken until I'm compliant. You think you have a choice? Elder Kim took a step forward. His enforcers moved with him. All 3 of my alphas shifted. The temperature in the room dropped. I know I do. I held Elder Kim's gaze. I spent 8 years afraid of my own voice, afraid that using my ability made me a monster. But you know what I realized? I took a breath, letting the power coil in my vocal cords. Not releasing it, just letting him see it was there. The only monsters here are the ones who wanted to cage me for being different. You're making a mistake, Elder Kim said. These alphas, these kings, they're using you. The moment your ability becomes inconvenient, they'll lock you away just like we planned. No, Jae-sung said quietly. We won't. Because he's our equal, Taeyong added. Not our weapon, not our pet, our partner. And if you threaten him again, Hyunwoo's voice was pure ice, you'll discover exactly how seriously we take protecting what's ours. Elder Kim's face flushed with rage. This isn't over. Yes, I said firmly. It is. I'm not coming back. Not to your facility, not to your pack, not to your control. I'm done running. I'm done being afraid. And I'm done letting people like you decide what I'm worth. The words felt like shedding skin, like becoming someone new. Elder Kim looked at each of us, calculation in his eyes. Finally, he nodded sharply. Very well. But mark my words, Minho. Power like yours doesn't stay hidden. Eventually, you'll have to choose what kind of person you want to be. I already have. I stepped closer to my alphas. I'm choosing them. I'm choosing me. And I'm choosing to believe that being different doesn't make me dangerous. It makes me powerful. We'll see. Elder Kim turned to leave, his enforcers following. The door closed behind them. Silence filled the penthouse. Then Taeyong laughed. Did you just tell off Elder Kim? I think I did. That was hot, he said. Terrifying and hot. You're insane. And you're ours. He pulled me into a kiss that tasted like freedom and relief and promise. When we broke apart, Jae-sung was smiling. So, what now? I looked at each of them. My alphas, my mates, my choice. Now we figure out how to actually be together. The messy, complicated, probably going to make mistakes way. Sounds perfect, Hyunwoo said. And it did. Not because it would be easy, but because for the first time in 8 years, I wasn't facing it alone. The mate bond hummed between us, warm and certain. Still incomplete, still growing, but real, so incredibly real. Hey, I said, realization dawning. I just spoke, out loud, to Elder Kim, and I didn't use the ability. You controlled it, Jae-sung said with pride, without even trying. Maybe that was the secret all along. Control wasn't suppression, it was choice. Knowing I could use the power and choosing when and how. Thank you, I said to all 3 of them, for seeing me. Not the ability, not the fear, just me. Always, they replied in unison. My phone buzzed. A text from my brother Jiho, the first in 8 years. Heard you found your mates. Proud of you, little brother. Come home when you're ready. Tears stung my eyes. Home. After so long running, maybe I finally had one. Minho, Jae-sung touched my cheek gently. You okay? Yeah. I smiled through the tears. I really, really am. Outside the windows, Seoul glittered in afternoon light. Somewhere out there was a life I'd built from silence and fear. And here, in this penthouse with 3 alphas who chose me, was the life I was building from courage and love. The choice was easy. I chose this. I chose them. I chose me. And for the first time in 8 years, I chose to speak. I love you, I said, Simple, true, mine to give. Three voices answered as one. We love you too. The mate bond flared bright and warm, and I knew with absolute certainty that this was only the beginning. And that's Minho's story. From 8 years of silence to finally finding his voice and his mates. If this emotional roller coaster had you in your feelings, please hit that subscribe button. I create stories like this regularly, full of angst, romance, and happy endings that'll make your heart race. Drop a comment telling me which king was your favorite, or if you want to see more stories about Omegas with special powers. Thank you so much for watching until the end. Your support means everything. Until next time, keep believing in love that's worth fighting for.